It's interesting to see what has happened with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door because everyone's extremely happy about the game. This is going to be a huge hit. Longtime fans are happy. New fans are happy. This is going to be one of the best games of the year. Of course, people are damage controlling this because oh, it's an old game, but this game hasn't been re-released in 20 years, so again, people have been trying to cope and see about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for a long, long, long time, right? But now we have a really interesting situation, something that I don't think people have really considered the implications of. That people have tried damage controlling this game by saying it only runs at 30 FPS. Oh, the GameCube original ran at 60. Oh, this is a huge downgrade. Completely ignoring the visual upgrades and the fact that like FPS doesn't really matter in a turn-based RPG like this anyway. Like this leans into what I've been saying for a while when it comes to Digital Foundry and these analysts, right? These YouTubers, like these Twitter users, right? FPS does not matter. We keep seeing this brought up conveniently only about Nintendo games, about how games like Tears of the Kingdom are disappointing because they only run at 30 FPS, right? Like, oh, how could Nintendo not run at a full 60? Oh man, what a disappointing, underwhelming experience. So, like, let's completely ignore all the innovative features that they crammed in there. Let's completely ignore everything they accomplished with these games. Let's ignore the artistry. Let's ignore the actual quality of the game itself. Let's hyper fixate on something that really, really doesn't matter, right? Let's focus on the frame rate, right? Let's focus on the FPS. Oh, 30 FPS is completely unplayable, even though you'll never catch me saying that about any PC game. Like, again, it's just a cope. It's just a seed, right? Without FPS, without visual quality, without like the realistic graphics, without the in-depth mature storylines, like the non-Nintendo gaming crowd really doesn't have a leg to stand on, right? The only reason that PlayStation and Xbox are considered superior to Nintendo is because of this illusion that the games look better, right? But that is not and never has been true. People can cry about the way the games look all they want. They can cry about the art style. They can cry about FPS. But the reality is, we're still talking about Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door 20 years later. And we'll be talking about it for another 20 years, right? Meanwhile, games like Halo 2, uh, games like Halo 2, games like what else even came out in 2004? Like there are lots of like PS2 games that I'm sure like were propped up as some of the best ever that have been completely forgotten at this point, right? Like the reality is, much like Banjo-Kazooie before it, like Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door has endured over the decades because it is such a great, phenomenal game. And I really don't think that the industry is prepared to deal with that, right? Now that we're dealing with GameCube games getting remade and remastered, right? Like being sold at full price as completely new games, it's safe to say that Nintendo is never ever going to run out of games to sell to the audience ever again. Like there will never be a game drought on Nintendo consoles ever again. No matter what the third parties try to do, no matter how much people try to starve Nintendo consoles or how much people try to write off their hardware, they're always going to have something like the Thousand Year Door on the verge of being re-released, right? Like again, just think of what's going to happen when Fire Emblem Awakening gets re-released or Kid Icarus Uprising or A Link Between Worlds, classic games that were very strongly written off and ignored when they first came out, but do have the potential to do really extraordinarily well when they get re-released. Right? Like this is the future of gaming, right? People are not going to be tricked by corrupt gaming journalists any longer.